All right, welcome to Dicejunkies. This is Bloodact, and I have on screen with me Q, and we have a very special guest today, Mr. Timothy Rose. You may know him for his work in The Dark Crystal. He also did Return to Oz, Muppet Christmas Carol, but also My Passion. If you watch the show on a regular basis, he was a puppeteer in Star Wars. So, Mr. Rose, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
So I want to jump right into Star Wars because I'm a Star Warsaholic, but we're going to backtrack a little bit. And one of the shows that I think is extremely underrated, but I really loved at the time, was The Dark Crystal. And you were the head performer for the Treasurer in The Dark Crystal. Can you give us your experiences on that set and how and what it meant to you?
Well, yeah, I performed the Treasure of Skeksis on set, but before that happened in the pre-production, I also built the radio-controlled heads for Jen and Kira and designed Batbirds and helped build the Skeksi costumes and did quite a few other things. Jim was very nervous about making the film good. It was the only time I ever worked on a film. We had the pre-production effectively ended up being about 4 years. Now, most films, the pre-production time is 4 to 6 months. And because he wanted everything to be as good as we could make it, we would build something, we'd do a screen test on it, and Jim would say, yeah, I like that. And I said, well, yeah, I liked it, but I think I could make it better. And he'd say, well, then go ahead and make it better. And you got the chance to have a second go and make it better and prove that you were right in the first place. And that's part of the reason why I think the film has had longevity. It's also because Jim Henson had what he called the magic moment. That's where you have a talented cast, you've got all these wonderful characters, you've got a really good technical department, wonderful sets, good script, and just trying to shoot the script, somebody will do something that will spark the rest of the people on set, and you'll end up shooting something on film that was better than what you started out trying to get. And Jim would do 20, 30, 40 takes or something, just waiting for that one take that had the magic moment in it. And most of his movies are edited together versions of magic moments.
Nice, cool.
Which is why they're so watchable.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember watching as a kid, and it seems like that Jim Henson in that film tried to talk up to kids, not down to kids. And that's one of the things that I've always appreciated by some of the things that he and George Lucas have done is we don't have to explain everything. Let the kids use their minds. Let them, immerse themselves and try to figure things out for themselves and don't over explain everything. But yeah, Jim Henson has done some phenomenal work, and The Dark Crystal, like I said, it has a cult following, and I didn't see the remake of it so much.
Did you know that originally it was shot in its original languages?
No, I didn't know that. So
when Jim first made The Dark Crystal, he did the Skeksis talking in Urskeks and the Podlings talking in Podling and all those, and it had subtitles. And basically, the producers said, or the distributors said, Americans won't read subtitles. If you want anybody to see this movie, you got to do it in English.
Wow, no, I didn't know that.
So we reshot it all in English.
Wow, cool. So you didn't dub over it; you just reshot everything.
Oh no! But two of the things, Jim was an absolute stickler, or perfectionist on. To keep a puppet character alive, he has to have eye focus. Mm-hmm. When he's looking at you, you got to feel like he's looking straight at you. And the other one was mouth sync, that if he's saying a line of dialogue, you have to believe that that dialogue is coming out of that character's mouth. And to do that, you have to have perfect mouth sync.
Wow.
So he we reshot it all with perfect mouth sync and high focus and everything else you had to do. So
Wow, so that would explain why the budget was so high then.
yeah, and we were doing something that was very labor intensive and technical intensive, and
Yeah, because, were there more than one puppeteers, for the characters, or were they pretty much solo?
oh, the main Skeksis, there could be up to 6 people operating them. That
Wow.
was what was so magic about those characters was that uh, animatronics, the puppets, are an entirely different way of performance from acting because you're all working together to create this character. So the sum of the parts creates something that's better than the sum of the parts.
Yeah,
That's why I love the magic of the animatronics, magic of those characters at that time.
yeah,
The Skeksis had a little guy. Most of the guys you've heard, Kenny Baker, you know, from R2D2,
yeah.
he was a Skeksis. The establishing shots were done with little guys in full bodysuit costumes walking into the positions. And then when they got to the positions, we'd take up those sections of floor and we'd get into the floor because the Skeksis was only about 5 foot tall. But when I operate the Skeksis, I'm 6 foot and I've got my arm over my head to operate the mouth. So they had to put 4 foot of me into the floor to keep me 5 foot tall. So
Yeah, the Skeksis were pretty big, but that's gotta be uncomfortable being contorted underneath, flooring and then trying to twist your arm around and then try to match everything up. That's gotta
mm,
be a challenge for
we discovered, well, I discovered sensory deprivation for the first time
wow.
because you're entirely enclosed in the costume for hours. It took a long time to dress them, so we tended to go in first thing in the morning, come out at lunchtime, go back in for the afternoon shoot, and come out at the end of the day. And there's large periods of time when the lighting's being done, when the set's being redressed, when you're in costume but doing absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And we discovered that sometimes when they'd call turnover, half the Skeksis would come alive and the other half wouldn't because the people in the costumes, their brains had just drifted away.
Wow.
Despite their best efforts to stay focused, there was nothing to focus on. So one of the things, the cameraman, very, very lovely man, even though he didn't need to, when he wasn't filming, he would sit on his camera and he would just crank it and pan the camera from side to side because we all had a monitor inside our costumes. So we
Uh-huh.
could at least see why we were waiting so long. He would basically shoot a little movie for us to watch on our TV set so that we wouldn't completely lose our focus and disappear off someplace. So it's very,
Nice.
very kind to consider us in there, you know. So
Oh, absolutely.
I wonder if that added to the surreal feel of the movie that y'all the Skeksis, because I always thought the Skeksis pulled off an incredibly alien feel, and maybe it's because y'all were kind of already out there. Like it's like you weren't really thinking like normal people anymore because you'd been in this suit all day and you're just kind of like,
yeah.
because it
Well, as
definitely
I
felt a
said, with any of
disconnect.
these animatronic characters, we aren't ourselves.
Right.
We are there to create this other character. And it could be 6 of us creating this other character. When the magic really happens is when you're first doing it, you have to do it by the numbers. Okay, when I say this, I want the eyebrows to go up, I want the cheeks to puff out, I want the arms to do whatever. But as you begin to learn who your character is that you're bringing alive, you no longer have to direct your crew anymore. All you have to do is start moving and start talking, and everybody knows what that character will do in his life. So you create something that stays with you forever, really.
Indeed.
That's good teamwork, actually.
Man,
Oh, it's great fun.
Oh, absolutely.
very few places in life where you can get teamwork quite like that.
I don't
Maybe in
imagine.
the army when
Yeah,
you're
I
all
mean,
trying to keep yourselves alive. I think those guys probably work together that closely. But
yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's almost kind of like for a sports reference in football, an offensive lineman will know that when a quarterback utters this audible, we're supposed to move together as a unit to do this package or that package, but it takes time and training. You can't just pull five guys off the street and do what you're talking about. It takes
mm,
years to develop that kind of camaraderie, that understanding that if Tim says this or if he moves a puppet this way, then I need to adjust the facial expressions to match. So yeah, that's interesting because we don't always get all behind the scenes information like that. We just see the product on television or in the film theater. But
exactly. And when you forget about us completely, that means we've done our job really well.
absolutely.
If all you're seeing is that character and believing that character is alive, then we've done our job.
I literally didn't even think of the concept of puppeteers for the Skeksis, so y'all were a roaring success because I literally like when I said like what puppets like puppeteers like wow when I think of that movie I literally forget their puppets even in retrospect, which is about the best compliment I think I can give, which is like, oh yeah,
Mm,
there would have had to be people puppeteering that, like those, but it just you get so immersed in the environment and the way they move and just everything going on that you literally go like, that was that was puppets. Like I literally forget until I think about it. I had to actively go. Technically, there's people underneath moving these
mm.
um
And it was all
individuals.
done in camera, so we weren't even using the green screen or any of that in those
Hmm.
days. So
I
the
love
the
practical effects.
degree of pre-planning and execution that you had to go through so that something could happen in 4 seconds and just be taken for granted was phenomenal.
Take it for granted.
I
Well,
didn't
but you
mean
want
taken
them
for granted,
to.
so that you could appreciate what we were wanting you to appreciate instead of seeing what we were doing to make you appreciate it.